Hey, you're listening to Don't Lie to Your Life Coach podcast with Kim Arrington. I'm Kim Arrington. I'm a life coach, a weight loss coach, an author, and a badass passionate about helping you connect back to your most authentic self. Join me here each week so I can coach you on how to think all those juicy thoughts that get you feeling your absolute best and taking some big ass action. Coaching has changed my life, and it can change your life too. I'm here to give you real life solutions to create a life you'll love. Because the truth is, boo, you ain't just got problems, you got options. Hey, y'all. Let me tell you something. I can't believe I haven't done a work podcast. Now, I've talked about work, but I haven't done a dedicated work podcast. This is episode 101. What in the world, Coach Kim? Well, we've talked about relationships, sex, weight, friendships. We were gonna get around to it, y'all. We done talked about a lot of good stuff. We have talked about a lot of good stuff. So I want to start off with a story. I'm not going to tell y'all the name of the company, but I will tell you that I had a good friend who lived in New York, and I would visit her. I had to have been college age, high school, let's just say college age. I was in college age. And there was a particular store that was in the East Village that is a nationwide store. And it seems very almost thrift-like. You probably might be figuring out what I'm talking about. And alternative. And in 2008-ish, when I was gonna go tour London, I decided to work there to get some clothes because I like their clothes. And I have to tell y'all, it was one of the most uptight places I've ever worked. Just because it looks laid back and chill and relax, it was absolutely not. And so I have never gotten written up at a job. Now, I'm not saying I shouldn't have, but I've never got written up at a job. And at this particular job, I was working the register one day, and one of my coworkers had been lamenting about how she couldn't pay her rent and how difficult things were. And she was the shift manager. So not actually a manager, but like the line shift, like we were on the cash wrap. And I got $100 bill. I put it in the vault. You couldn't keep $100 bills in your register because obviously the likelihood of you accidentally giving it out or of us thinking that we stole it. Well, she was the only person who had the key. I distinctly remember dropping that $100 bill in the vault. And to my knowledge, it was the only $100 bill on shift. And it got missing. And, back then I was different than I am now. Back then, and you all might understand this, where if something bad happens, because I was formerly codependent, I'm now in recovery for that. When something bad happened, I would automatically go to guilt, even if I know I didn't do it. But in this particular situation, even though I could remember putting that $100 bill in the vault, because the way it worked is you had your cash register, and then below you was an area where you could stick large bills. So we all would have that. I remember doing it. I had this feeling of guilt. And then while the person on shift believed me because she and I were friends, I had this sense that the big manager didn't believe me. And I knew it. Like, I knew it that this girl had taken that money, that I had gone on break or whatever because she was talking about how much she was struggling financially. And they wrote me up, first time I ever gotten written up, and I told them I didn't agree with it. I didn't think it was fair, but I signed it. And I think from that moment on, I was like, the clock is ticking. I put in my 2 weeks. I don't know when. I would say probably within the next couple of months, but that left such a bad taste in my mouth. Now that good girl is long gone. I would not fucking sign that shit today. And I would have been more, I did tell one of the people who was my friend, I was like, I think she stole it. She's been talking about how much she needs money. And she had the key. Neither here nor there. That was an experience of working where I felt uncomfortable. We have all had this experience of working where things look one way, we get in, it feels different, and then we feel like we have to make this adjustment that we don't want to make. Now, in a job I cared more for, I would advocate for myself. Obviously, this is over 10, 15 years ago, I don't know. For a job that I really cared about, I would definitely have more to say about it. And I want to help you all when you're in this position where there is a job you care about and something happens, because here's the thing. There are about 2,080 working hours in a year for an employee who works a traditional 40-hour work week. The average employee works around 8 hours per workday. And you all know with technology, people are checking emails at 3 in the morning, 2 in the morning, especially if you're in a position where it's a climber, where you feel like if you don't do that, if something goes past, like with all the fear around job security, we've got to figure out how to maintain our lives the way we want to and and have the jobs that we want. And there are a couple of things that I know can help you do this. I have a friend who I've been talking a lot about with this, and one of the things that she and I have been talking about is how she has a job. A lot of us have jobs where tasks can be done or they're busy times a year, but some of us have jobs where there's constant intake and it's never feels done. And what I have been talking to her about, and she's interested in becoming an entrepreneur. And I was like, look, that has its things too. I always tell people, man, my boss can be a bitch. I'm the boss, right? That has things too, that has different responsibilities. Ask any entrepreneur. But I was talking to her about how freedom is a way of thinking. And if she is so hell-bent on trying to finish tasks and she's at work super late and she's starting work super early and she's working through vacations, the problem is not the job. The problem is her sense of boundaries and her ability to disengage and what it says from her when she does do that, and how she talks and says, hey, can we hire this? Can we do the advocating for herself? But what she just recently did, I was so proud of her. She said, you're going to be proud of me. And I was like, why? Because she's been talking about this job. And I'm telling you, when you're a life coach, your friends utilize you. Although my friends would say that I'm always coaching them. But she was like, I've signed up for 2 classes, 2 dance classes, and they're during the week and they start at a time where she has to get out of work. And, we talked about her going on walks and doing all these things. So I've just recently instituted an hour lunch break for myself. Because I usually start early and I get off earlier. I was negating my lunch break, but today I took an hour off, and it doesn't mean I have to do lunch. I can go walk in the woods. I can do whatever I want, but taking a hour off to shoot the shit. It doesn't matter, whatever I want to do. Let's talk about how you can make your work life blend. You all know I don't like the word balance. Have you ever seen people in the Olympics on a balance beam? Do you think you can do that? Hell to the no, Bobby. I like the word blend. It means that there may be times where I give more attention to a work project. There may be times where I give more attention to a family matter. The blend is the negotiation that I make. There's never this sense of everything has to be in pretty little containers, that I can be a human and respond to things. And you know how I am, y'all. I'm woo woo. So I'm not just about responding to the things. I'm about being a deliberate creator of the life you want through your choices and through you energetically thinking about what you want in your imagination and then seeing it show up. Yeah, we'll get to that this year because I'm going to be more open and honest about how I feel about manifestation and how it can change your life. Anyway, here's the truth. It's up to you how you handle your work. Some of y'all are cussing at me right now. Okay, this has come up so much with private clients where I've had to be like, you're not really mad at your work. You're really mad about what's going on at your house, but it feels more safe to dump truck at work. Or you are living out a relationship with a parent who is no longer here and you're seeing your boss like that. Or you are deciding that all authority is wrong, and or you were criticized as a child, so when someone comes to you you hear criticism versus this is like a dialogue. Let's just fix it. Let's just fix it. Let's just fix it. Let's talk about the power you have to transform anything in your life. You have a power to change it by changing your perspective. If you feel like you are up against all the odds, nothing's fair, shit doesn't work out for you, the world is a bad place, guess what? That is confirmed. It's called confirmation bias. There are a bunch of them. Self-fulfilling prophecies. It's a lot of things that if you, the way you feel about something actually determines the relationship you have with it. So when we can decide that work isn't something that is just out to get us. And we can sometimes find the source of when we first felt like someone was out to get us. And then we can tell ourselves, oh, this is not the same. Like your boss is not your dad. Your boss is not your mom. And if you feel that way, you have resources. You can talk to a coach. You can, go to a therapist. You can talk to a clergy, a support group, whatever you need. At the end of the day, when you remake that relationship and the importance and the actually most of the time what you're responding to is not even what's happening. You're responding to feeling like it should not be happening, or you're responding to the fact that this is a reaction you've had in the past to something and now you're having it again and you're pissed about that. Or that's what I'm talking about. You got to slow it down and see where your old programming is running the show. Unless you actively work to reinstall new programming, to remove that old programming. I don't know if you ever done that in a computer where you take off, the old program and you install it. Your computer wants to update. It wants you to have that new programming that has new things built in. Sometimes it's bug fixes for things that have gone wrong, but sometimes that new programming is making this work more efficiently, or it has new amenities. That's what I want you to think about. When something's bothering you, think about the possibility. Maybe even the first step is there is the possibility to remove that old program and install this new program. And you guys have got to get to the point where you're not so focused on what is being done to you and how you can view it differently to behave differently. And you're like, wait a minute, are you saying it's my fault? No, I'm the opposite. I'm saying your power it never lies in someone else changing their behavior. Your power lies in you showing up how you want to show up. That is where your power exists. That's where it is. Okay. So this podcast is for you if you can't stand your job. This podcast is for you if you wanted to quit yesterday. This podcast is for you if you feel so drained getting up every morning, and not to brag, but all of this can change. I felt all of this in my business, and I found a new system, 12-week year, and I allowed myself to dream bigger than what I was dreaming. And now I'm low key excited about Mondays. I don't generally work on the weekends. I did work this weekend because I took it easy part of last week, and I won't be working on Friday. So, if you describe yourself as being uptight or a control freak, or for folks that have suffered legitimate work injuries and you never have gotten over it, this episode is for you, because you can change. You can change. You all have no idea how much no one does, how much they affirm negative, how much they affirm it's not going to change, how they affirm it doesn't matter, how you don't matter. Like, why? Like, if you really feel that way and you try to work with, you listen to this podcast, you work with a coach, you work with a therapist, and you feel that way, then you may need to go and find another job, or investigate another career. But also, before you do that, it's worth it to look at how your behavior or your inability to get over things, which, listen, friends, it can feel hard, could actually be making the situation worse. Yeah, let's chop it up. So most of us don't understand this, but a lot of our jobs mirror our early home life, where our programming was installed. And when you are in midlife, it is all about you taking those programs off and becoming who you want to be. I always use this metaphor. It's kind of crass, but hey, Coach Kim goes there sometimes. No, I am going to say this. Okay, imagine you walk into a bathroom. Would you rather it be the pee in the toilet that just happened, or would you rather it be pee that's been sitting in the toilet for 15 years? Would you rather it be pee that's been sitting in the toilet for 10 days? Let me answer for you. You'd rather have new pee instead of old pee. You'd rather have your new programming. People are like, I'd rather have no pee. Okay, whatever. You'd rather have your new programming than your old programming, because old programming just stinks. Like 10-day-old pee. Old programming stinks. It's not, you didn't feel like you had a choice. You took on what was told to you. And to break this down more, programming can be based off of our gender. It can be based off of our race. It can be based off of what's expected of us. And it doesn't allow for your individuality. Part of the reason why you're here in being this is because you're an individual. We need you and your uniqueness to do what you're doing. I want you to think about that. I want you to think about how much of you could be being controlled by what you learned from 0 to 8. Seriously, friends, this is what midlife is about, is deciding what you want now, not what's expected of you. And before you go blow your life up, please don't do that. Please don't do that. I always say this. Please do 2 things. I want you to read The Big Leap, especially if you're an entrepreneur, especially if you are having work woes, because sometimes you are thinking the issues in your relationships or with your kids are what's driving you crazy, but it's your frustration because you're ready to go to a new level, a new place with your job. Or I want you to look at your attachment style. The person who does this better than anybody else is the personal development school. I cannot, like, I know their books, but my attachment style was not in most of the books. Okay. So I want you to, before you blow everything up, I want you to think about your attachment style, and I want you to like even a search. And I'm gonna put a YouTube channel that I think is really great. And I'll also link to the personal development school in the show notes. Taking off your programming in smaller segments so you can keep checking with yourself to see where you are. Let's talk about this. I said this in the beginning. Y'all have to get over ongoing tasks. You have to get over the tasks that continue. Your brain likes closing loops. If your tasks are ongoing, then you're going to have to tell your brain this is a circuit that stays open. I want you all to think about all the places in your life where there are ongoing tasks. Like brushing your teeth every day is an ongoing task. Washing your ass every day, that's an ongoing task. Loving your kids, that's an ongoing task. You know how to do ongoing tasks. But when it comes to your job, you sometimes will freak out because you're still doing the same things over and over. And the problem isn't the ongoing task. The problem is your feelings about the ongoing task. How are you judging yourself? How are you judging other people in the ongoing task? Y'all, your brain might like closing loops, but your britches are bigger than your brain. That means that you can control how you feel about it by deciding, you know what? This is ongoing, but I'm the best at it. Nobody can do this better than me. Nobody is as efficient as doing this every single month as I am. I do a great job on this. Like, I'm going to actually decide that this repetitive task is something that I don't have to think about as much. Of course, I double check my work, but that it's okay to have an ongoing task. Ongoing, it's old programming. If you're having a problem with an ongoing task, why does it need to be completed? Some things you are just incrementally doing. The cure for the common cold, has it been completed? It hasn't. If y'all could get over it and be okay with inchworming your way to whatever, you would be happier. I repeat, you're in charge of your brain. You're in charge of your brain. You're in charge of how you feel about it. Podcast episode over. The coworker who gets on your nerves. What if you stop giving them so much importance? Why does it matter if they get on your nerves? Your sister get on your nerves and she's still your sister. You have mechanisms to deal with that. Maybe decide that the behavior they're doing doesn't have to annoy you so much, or that you decide you're going to limit some access. That's for you to decide. Your brain has a solution, has multiple solutions. Keep trying them until you figure something out. All right, getting to your coworker who's your sister. The person you dislike the most at work reminds your brain of someone that hurt you or shocked you or you felt victimized by. And it ain't them. You know what it is? An opportunity to choose differently. You don't have to feel hurt by this person or shocked by this person or victimized by this person. It ain't them. And you get to tell your brain it ain't them. You get to say, this time I'm going to choose that I can tolerate this. This ain't them. I have someone in my life that used to remind me of a family member I struggled with. Got more than one. And I would say it out loud. That person isn't them. That person isn't them. I get to choose differently. What if I just choose being 5% less bothered by them? And it worked. It worked. Number 3, stop lying to yourself and saying you don't have other options. We all do. We all have other options. We all can find employment elsewhere. I'm not suggesting you do that. But if you turn on the news, they will tell you that you don't have options. Don't sue me. I ain't telling you to quit your job. But sometimes just telling yourself, I have options. I saw this on Facebook today. Someone put up, don't forget you have options. Sometimes just telling yourself you have options allows you to stop scaring the shit out of yourself that everything is so permanent. I have to stay in this situation. I have to do this. Stop scaring yourself. If you hate your job and the money, you can decide to move to a place where people get paid more. You can do a cost benefit analysis of that. That's smart. You can go talk to a career coach. I'm not going to tell you if you're not looking, I mean, there are possibilities you're looking to be recruited. You can't lead with your negatives. You've got to decide what you do well. What do you like about the job? Is it just that you want to change careers? What is it? People are more prone to help you when you lead with your positives. Hey, um, I'm ready for a change and I want to know about this. I mean, that's what I'm talking about. Number 4, for the next day, I want you to only see what's right when it comes to your job. I want you to notice the flowers outside your job. I want you to notice the free coffee. I want you to notice what is right. The interaction you had with the customer or client or whatever. I want you to notice what's right. I want you to walk in feeling positive. I want you to see that your brain is going to make it hard for you to be more positive. And I want you to notice that your brain is doing that every day. I want you just to be aware of that. The positivity exercise is not about being positive. It's about seeing how often your brain doesn't want to be positive. How the minute something happens you don't like, everything could be bad. Your brain it's designed to figure out threats and to keep you aware of the threats. Did y'all know that? Your brain is designed to figure out threats, to keep you alive, to make you aware of the threats, and to have a disproportionate response to those threats. Y'all know your ego is all about trying to keep you alive, right? So it goes searching for threats that sometimes don't even exist. Your ego can be a drama queen, a damsel in distress. Again, that old programming has decided how your ego will react. A coach or someone can work with you. Now, friends, newsflash, I am now out the private coaching business. I am now doing more group coaching, but this is exactly the thing that I would be working on in my group coaching is how to help your nervous system feel more relaxed when it comes to your job. Perfect example. While I have loved private coaching, and I will return on a very tiny, small scale after the book comes out, and all these things, I know to scale my programs, I can't have 40 clients a week. I need to open it up to be able to serve more people at one time. And it's so funny when I told a friend about this, she was like, that's hard. How can you do that? No, it's not. It's showing up on Zoom for an hour and a half once a week. It's creating assets. It's having a group where people can ask questions. It's hiring coaches. It's doing these things to help me to be able, and if I can just be real with y'all, part of what's gotten me out of this are my hobbies, being at night and and thinking of ways that I can have a night a week doing this and then have the freedom to be with family and friends and all of that. So sometimes, here's number 5. I ain't even put us on here. Number 5 is going to be your life changes and you need to rearrange how you think about work. Not to mention, number 6, some of y'all ain't having enough fun. If you are having more fun, then work isn't as big of a deal. Some of y'all are going from home to work. And then you're like, why am I not happy at home? Why am I not happy at work? Well, where's your fun in between? Some of y'all were volleyball players and baseball players and swimmers. There are adult leagues in all of this, tennis leagues. Friends, I am the adult athlete, like poster child. I just learned how to play pickleball earlier last week and then went birding on the weekend. There are community programs. There are so many fun things to do. All you got to do is look at your parks and recreation or your equivalent or your universities. Maybe you need to be spending more time with friends. Maybe you need to be having more intellectual conversations. If work is just your life, it's not going to feel right. Okay. So, how do you fix it? How do you fix it? You're going to have to storyboard something new. Oh, yeah. And I forgot, use your PTO, go on vacation. I had a brief job and no one went on vacation. And I went to the boss and was like, you have a culture where people don't go on vacation because you don't like going on vacation. You like to work all the time. And it is a problem. I changed the culture. I was like, if you want to get the best work out of people, they need to feel like they can go on a vacation and not be scared to go on a vacation because your ass don't go on a vacation. They created new guidelines. Sometimes you gotta step in some courage and put your in your chest voice. And that's why you don't want to complain about every single thing. If you complain about every single thing, then you invalidate all your complaints. Hello, the boy that cried wolf. If you complain about everything, then nothing matters. But when you're the person who is like, look, I want to go on a vacation and nobody's doing this. And I don't understand this because we got what's happening? Now I see them all the time going on vacation. You can't punk bitch it. Decide the one or two things you're going to speak up about. You don't have to speak up about every single thing. If you want to be respected, there's a discernment on what you speak up about. And I'm not saying that to for you to be in control or to be scared or be like, oh my God, I spoke. Like, you can change how you are today and it affects how people immediately see you. I don't know what's gotten into Kara. I don't know what's gotten into Carol. I don't know what's gotten into Cindy. I don't know why all of them had C names. I don't know what's happened, but they're more positive. They're like, if you are critical all the time, that is a sure sign of your old programming. Read, run to read The Big Leap. It tells you why you're doing what you're doing. It helped me. It helped me. 12-week year, it helped me. I needed help on a system. I was scared to go to that next level. Another book I was reading, 10x is easier than 2x. This is why I am not going to, I was listening to the book one day and I said out loud, I'm not going to private coach anymore. I'm going to finish out these clients. I'm not private coaching anymore. And when I go back to private coaching, it's going to be like pretty premium priced. And that won't be for the next year and some change. It allows for other people to come in at an easier entry point than paying for private coaching. But also, I want to reach more people. I want to reach more people with solutions. I want you all to consider these questions. This is going to be your homework. Especially if you had a work injury where and a work injury is something's happening to you at work, you aren't able to get over it. You walk in, you still carry that. And remember, friends, we don't just carry things in our minds, we can carry it in our bodies. Like, we feel anxious when we come into work, our heart starts beating, we're sweaty, we're tunnel visioned. Y'all, it feels good to let stuff go. That requires consciousness that many of us have pushed away. But there's a book, there's a program, there's a coach, get into my group coaching program when it's available. We're damn sure going to talk about all of this because work satisfaction affects you. The reason why you feel so bad is because you don't want to feel so bad. If you do feel bad, some of y'all love your jobs and that's amazing. So I want to shout y'all out. You got to grow those tolerance muscles when things happen to be able to let it go. And if you can't, then you get help with that. So how are you going to change your work story? How are you going to do that? Do you go out with the work friends? Do you go out to lunches or like after work? Do you create community at work? Have you applied for a new internal job? Do you have a I have a former client that does this all the time. She applies for a new job. She's excited about it. Do you need to go spend some of your professional development dollars to go to a conference? Do you need to go to your boss and make a case? Do you need to ask for a raise you're not asking for? All of this makes you resentful when you don't do this. And again, do you take your lunch breaks? Do you bring your sneakers and walk around the block? You have a little walking group at work? Do you think about the choices you're making during the day? Do you go to work socials? Do you need to get closer to your work versus being so pulled back? Are you toxic at work? Are you constantly talking about people? Because if you're talking about people, everybody talks about everybody and they know you're talking about them. You've got to watch how you talk about people because people find out. People talk. Everybody talks about everybody. So you better start having heart to hearts with your journal instead of talking about everybody at work because they're going back and telling the people. I know someone that says no one likes her. And I know it's because she talks about people all the time. And the thing about it is she talks about people all the time. She repeats her trauma constantly. She re-traumatizes herself. People tell people that she talks about them. And she is trying to change her story, but she has to keep reminding herself of what's happened. And it's not helping her. It's a big circle. Obviously, this is an episode that we need. I need to be talking to you all more about work. I need to be talking to you more about work. This is not the episode if you've gone through a very difficult thing and you've been severely victimized at work. If you've been victimized at work, this is not for you. But a lot of us are inflicting the harm on ourselves by how we're thinking about it. And that's why I'm a coach, because I know that when you change, you feel better because all behavior is programmed. It's all mostly from our old programming. So then we can look at our old program and we can decide we want to do something different. And this has been me too. Why do you think I'm a coach? Because I know how powerful this is. When we think about changing our behavior first, then we can see what other changes need to be asked for, advocated for, okay? You won't know until you try it. And if you try it once and it doesn't work, keep trying it for a while. Give yourself a try timeline. The next 60 days, 90 days, 120 days, I'm going to work diligently to liking my job more, to seeking maybe even more responsibilities or different things. So here is your affirmation for this episode. Day by day, I'm starting to enjoy my job more. Day by day, I'm starting to enjoy my job more. Day by day, I'm starting to enjoy my job more. I'm telling y'all right now, the way you think about something is how you feel about it. The way you feel about it is what the actions you take about it. And the actions you take equal the results. Let's talk more about how to feel better at work. And I'm just telling you, things can change. That manager you don't like can get transferred. Don't decide that because it's this way, it's never going to change. Why would you feel good in that situation? You are in charge of learning how to feel better by your joyful choices, your dynamic, deliberate choices. All right, y'all. I preached enough. Have a good one. I'll see you next week.
Are you feeling what you just heard? Good, good. Repeat after me. You don't have to figure it out on your own again anymore. I'm here to help. Head over to kimarrington.com and download my free video series dedicated to getting you feeling your best right now. Look around, there's some good stuff waiting on you. Got questions? Well, we're always talking on the socials, so find me on YouTube, Insta, and the book. Don't be shy, y'all. Go listen to another episode or join me here the same time next week. Finally, don't keep good shit to yourself. Share this with a homie that could use some help too. Remember, we're not lying to ourselves anymore. We're not lying to our doctors. And you damn sure don't lie to your life coach.